I don't know how you even have the time to sit still for a minute to talk to us, but thank you for joining me and talking about this today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be here.
Let's talk about this. Goliad is obviously very south in Texas, and you've been dealing with this for some time. It's really gotten into the media of late, but this isn't a problem that you've faced just of late. This is something you've been dealing with for a long, long time before it got national attention. Is that a fair statement?
We've been dealing with this so long that I remember when Border Patrol would give us a box of bullets for every illegal alien we apprehended and turned over to them. So that's how long ago we've been dealing with this.
Wow. Now, you're married and you have 4 children and you live down there on the border. You're a 7th generation Texan, so you know a lot about being in that area and living with this border. We're going to talk about the law enforcement aspects of this, but what does this bring to mind to you as a father of 4 kids that you've had to raise up in this area? Is this a thing that comes to mind to parents down there, that the threat of these people coming across the border, not knowing who they are, and I guess as importantly, knowing who some of them are?
Yeah, and I'll put it to you this way: when this is how it hits home for us. We do a lot of enforcement action. We're very proactive. We took down a cartel scout. A scout is somebody who drives ahead of or behind load vehicles in order to find out if there's law enforcement there, or they are there in case there's a bailout to pick up the product or the people whenever they have to abandon them for some reason. And some of these vehicles, believe it or not, have in-car cameras in them. And when you arrest a scout and you go back and you look at the in-car camera and you watch the car passing by your driveway where your kids get on the school bus every morning, that makes it sink home. I'll never forget taking a video home to my wife, a short snippet, and I showed it to her. And I said, I want you to see this. And she looked at it and she said, yeah, so what? That's our mailbox. I said, yeah, this is from the cartel scout. I said, we need to sit down with the kids this evening and make sure that when they do go out to the bus stop, they have to have very specific instructions on where to stand and what to do if somebody stops the car. I said, because we're knocking down lots of loads. And at some point, somebody's not going to be happy with us. And I don't want my kids standing out there on a smuggling route, which unfortunately we live on, and have something happen to them.
So you're talking about in-car camera by the cartel scout was going right by your house?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Wow. Now, were they scouting your house, or is it just that you're on one of their regular smuggling routes?
It's that we're on one of the regular smuggling routes. But due to the fact that the cartel has a presence in every community, there's no way in the world that they don't know exactly where I live. I'm in a county where if 2 people know, the whole county knows.
Yeah.
And I'm in the phone book. I'm public. We're a small community, so I'm sure they know where I live.
Give me an idea of how many loads come through your community down there at its peak. When that border is open and flowing, how many loads of drugs or human trafficking do you think goes through Goliad, for example? How heavy is the traffic there?
We took down one organization after a 2-year investigation that started in 2021. When we took that organization down, working with the Department of Homeland Security, DHS advised us that their best estimate that organization was bringing no less than 100,000 illegal aliens a year just through Goliad County. We're a county of 7,012 people. So you can kind of put that in perspective. And that's one contractor out of numerous contractors working for the various cartels south of us.
100,000. All right, let's talk about that. Let's monetize that in some way. What kind of money are we talking about them generating, bringing that kind of traffic through this small county in South Texas?
Well, it just varies depending on who it is they're smuggling and what the size of the load is. But we briefed somebody earlier this week who was getting paid $15,000 for every load they brought through. And so on another organization that we've been investigating. And so you figure a load in a large vehicle is going to be 20 to 40 people, but most of the time it's going to be smaller. But you take and go 100,000 at 100,000 a year, and then you backtrack that to maybe on an average of 15 per load, comes out to a lot of money.
Boy, it does. So we're talking big business. With President Trump and Tom Homan closing this border down, what do you expect the cartel's reactions to be to that? I heard just yesterday or the day before that some border guards got fired on by cartel members. They assume cartel members opened fire on some border guards. What do you think their reaction is going to be if their business gets really pinched and shut down like this?
Well, they're going to adapt, is what they're going to do. Whenever the cartel does something brazen like that, they're probably trying to type your resources in one location so that they thin them out in another so that they can go around and conduct their business in another location where you've now moved all your resources out of. And so you have to look at this entire thing basically in terms of war. And that's basically what this is it's a war between the cartels and many of the criminals in Mexico and the United States. And so I believe they're going to adapt. They're still bringing loads up to this day in 18 wheelers. I'm talking 20 to 40 at a time. We know because we see it through our investigations. But what we've seen is we've seen a lot more of the one smuggler on 2 to 4 illegal aliens that are being brought up. And so what they're doing is they're adapting. It's constant adaptation by the cartels. They're very fluid. I compare them to water. They go where the least resistance is, and they're always going to be pushing to make money. And what they're going to do is if they can get fewer people in the country, it just means their price per head is going to go up. Now, I have full faith that the Trump administration and people like Tom Homan and Mike Banks and Rodney Scott and Ron Vitello are going to be able to drastically impact the quality of life of the people along the border. But the real problem, Doc, is not just the border. The border is the easy part. It's the interior where the cartel has cemented their presence during the last 4 years and have basically replicated the Mexican government's plaza system throughout the U.S. under cartel control.